Welcome back to What's the Wave. This is a show where we sit down with members of the Alpha Wave Studios community at our open mic nights that happen every third Wednesday of the month and get to know them a little bit better. Tonight I'm here with...
Turkish Royale.
Sitting down with you makes me think about how I met you like a year ago, and a year ago was kind of when Mad Minds was growing legs and kind of found its home here at Alpha Wave Studios. How does being in a professional studio, in your opinion, change how artists show up to Mad Minds, and was that a part of the decision-making process when picking a home for Mad Minds Live?
Yeah, it's a great question. Being in a professional space like Alpha Wave Studios definitely elevates like the vibe, and I think just the energy and the atmosphere. I think it brings a lot of validity to not only our events but the artists that are performing here. So when we're coming to a place like this, it's definitely a difference than most places you find like open mic events, where this feels so legitimate. The cameras, the quality, the sound, just everything about it, the TVs on the walls. I think it elevates everything. I think it provides a value to the artist. And was that a part of our decision-making process? I mean, when we saw the space, we fell in love, you know, so that helps. When you have a great studio, a great place, definitely helps.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, as an artist who's performed at Mad Minds myself, I really think that our setup helps artists not only like get into the zone, but it's even like given me confidence when sometimes people feel like it might be intimidating.
Absolutely.
I'm like in a real setup when you can really hear the quality of your voice and you feel like all of the pieces are working together. It's inspired me definitely as an artist to keep going, and I'm sure for other artists at Mad Minds too. I'm wondering like how hosting has changed how you kind of appreciate artists, and yourself being an artist, has it changed your relationship with being a musical artist? Do you feel more connected now to hosting and creating the space for artists, or is it kind of a balance?
Wow, that's a great question too. Running the shows versus performing at the shows, the difference is, I think, drastic. My love for artists as a whole has definitely developed through it. Like, you know, as an artist, you're more selfish. Almost as like a competition. Like, I want to be the best. I want to perform. I want to be the best performer. When people go home, I want them to talk about me. Versus now that I've kind of removed myself from that perspective, it's much easier to just appreciate really great art and not feel like there's a contest, but just really appreciate the differences. Like, you're such a different artist than some of the other artists that we have, and I can really just see everybody's passion is there, and the passion is so genuine, and the difference in the art is just so much easier to appreciate, and I feel like we're building a home for that art to be expressed and appreciated. It definitely has changed my view in a lot of ways. Changed my own perspective of my own art. Like, when I approach music, it's given me so much more perspective too, because I get to see so much different talent and approaches and methods, and I get to see so much more, that I get to be in that space so much more often.
And that's such a like special and unique experience, being like so immersed in like creativity and art. And I can just tell, especially when you're on stage, that like shines through. If people don't know anything about Turkish Royale, I feel like that is the one thing. You just love like art, you love being around artists, you love being an artist yourself. What helps you stay inspired to create? Because now you're not only doing the art, you're doing so much more. And I said the same thing to AOH, but like in a lot of ways, people really look to you as like a community leader in the music scene in New Jersey.
I appreciate that. So I definitely make less music now than I used to. I used to make, you know, multiple songs a day, all day, every day. Now it's a lot different, but I still see myself as a creative. So for me, I got a lot of missions in life. I got a lot of goals that I've always had since I was a kid, and like that hasn't changed, the mission. But now for the events, it really just is like a dream, and I just need to attain these goals just for myself. I don't really need anybody to see it. I used to want that as an artist, the validity. None of that really matters. Even as Mad Minds, as a community, I don't think that we're doing this for like some kind of image of success. I really think that this is the success, being here, having these moments, creating these spaces and these memories in this community. So like, I want more of it. And for me, like selfishly, I just want to create more of that and like do things that I would be proud of when I was 20 years ago, 10 years ago. These things that seem so hard to do. Hope, and I know I will achieve those things. That's my drive. I go to bed, before I go to bed, I'm like, what more am I supposed to be learning? What more am I supposed to be doing? So that's really my drive now. I don't know if that answers the question, but...
No, it does. I mean, creating from that place and having that as your foundation is not only a really way of being successful in what you do, but in finding creative fulfillment with that. You know what I mean? I think there are a lot of artists, and this is like no shade, no tea, but I feel like there are a lot of artists who are in music and that may not be their foundation, and I will say it's really hard to create from that space. I think it's also apparent to your audience how authentic and real that creation is for you, you know? So my final question, I guess it's two questions. What can we expect from the next show coming up here at Alpha Wave Studios on December 28th? And what would you tell yourself a year ago? After living this past year on this Mad Minds journey, what would you now tell yourself back then?
Damn, you're hitting me with the good questions today. First one, the next show, December 28th. We're back here at Alpha Wave Studios. It's the year-end celebration. I really, when we were picturing it, I just wanted to give back to the community, give back to all the artists for this year because of Mad Minds Live, being in this space, creating the consistency that we never had, this culture that we're building. So this show on the 28th is for you guys at home watching, and all the artists and all the fans and all the panelists and producers, videographers, photographers, singers, whoever you might be. We're really just gonna give out all the love and recognition, and we're doing awards. I got a lot of things I'm trying to keep in the tuck, so like it's gonna be a lot of surprises, a lot of goodies. People I think are all gonna be leaving here with something. It's gonna be just really beautiful, and we just wanna send the year off with a blast. So formal attire, gonna be in our top outfit. To your second part of your question, what would I tell myself a year ago knowing what I know now?
Specifically, kind of the journey that you've been on with Mad Minds. It's been a year of consistency for Mad Minds, consistency having shows here at Alpha Wave for you guys.
I think that this year has been a record, like historic year for Mad Minds, right? So we've been doing this for a while. I think we did over 20 shows this year. I would tell myself, one is trust the process. In the beginning it was kind of daunting to commit to a show a month and then try to add more in between, try to scale while I'm still living my regular life, and I was scared of that. It was a big leap of faith. I would have just said, trust it, bro, just do it. It all worked out. We grew so much. The other thing I would say is something that I'm working towards now in this new year that's going to be foundational for me is working more on quality versus quantity. I felt like this year was a marathon. I was telling everybody halfway through the year we were all exhausted. We got a lot of consistency. We made a lot of great progress, and people were like, maybe we could slow down, maybe we could, and I was saying maybe we should, but no, we committed to a marathon. We need to finish the marathon. It was the full year. I wanted to make it through the end of this year, not missing a beat. And you're going to be tired, you're going to be exhausted, but you got to get through. Next year, I'm not running a marathon. Next year, I want to really focus, not feel like I'm catching up to something, but just really plan ahead and utilize everything we learned over this year and maximize. Next year is like the championship run. Like, let's all hone in, get our skills crafted, and attack this with a mission. So I would say just get more focused.
That's like a super thoughtful answer, and obviously here at Alpha Wave Studios, we're really excited to see that happen. So yeah, December 28th, the Mad Minds grand finale. And Turk, we just want to thank you so much for joining us here on What's the Wave. I appreciate that.
What's the Wave, dude?
What's the Wave?
You're cooking. Alpha Wave Studios, that's the wave. Tap in, December 28th, we back, dressed nice. We getting lit.
We are.
Can't wait.
We are.
I can't wait.
See y'all next time.
Peace. Great pan, bro. That was a great pan.